Sorry to go on a
So,
rant there, but I think it makes a lot of
fine.
sense.
I hope Toby is really happy with this expanded
This is
answer.
for you, Toby. Hope you're happy.
Welcome to the official, unofficial Sea of Thieves podcast, a podcast dedicated to Sea of Thieves and other rare games, but mainly Sea of Thieves. And we are back with our regular episodes. I myself am still taking it really easy with the YouTube channel, but we are planning on releasing the podcast episodes on a more steady schedule again. And hey, even with our big hiatus, we are still releasing more episodes than the official Sea of Thieves podcast. In this
Unlucky.
Well, it's how it is. In this episode, we are playing catch up since we really wanted to give our thoughts on the Monkey Island Tall Tales. And in case you have forgotten, these are 3 Tall Tales based on the Monkey Island series. These tales were released throughout Season 9, and we will briefly go over the story, the rewards, and our general thoughts and opinions on these Tall Tales, as well as speculating on what this means for the future of Sea of Thieves. And of course, you are not just listening to me, but, well, you already heard him. You're also listening to my beautiful co-host.
Hi guys, it's AShinyRay again. It's been like 7 months or something.
And you crawl out of your hole again to record another episode.
Exactly, like Blubber's, he put a gun to my head and said, "You are going to record this podcast episode." And here I am.
Hi. Are you excited to be back?
Yes, I am. I love the podcast. It's very cathartic. It's a very cathartic experience.
Yes, exactly. And that's maybe one of the reasons why we're a bit late with these Tall Tales, because we did want to give our opinion still. And we will.
And there's
yeah.
no recency bias as well. We're out of the honeymoon phase.
True. Yeah, it's all settled down, and we can be as honest and
nasty as possible.
Indeed. So before we start, let's do our Begging for Money segment. So if you want to support the podcast, you can buy a lovely podcast poster. Link to that will be in the YouTube description, or you can use Super Thanks to donate if you want. If you don't want to do that stuff, just give us a thumbs up. That also helps.
Begging for money for a podcast that hasn't had an episode in months.
It's because nobody donates. There you go.
Exactly. That's what drives Blubber to write these scripts for us. I have to donate to him sometimes.
Yep. Yeah. I just got a donation. That's why we're starting again. That's the reason.
Is that actually true?
No, of course not. But anyways, let's start. Before we start talking about our main discussion, let's go over our history with the Monkey Island franchise first. We already talked about it, but let's refresh our listeners a little bit. I didn't play the Monkey Island games. But I've heard of them. I grew up with some of the jokes, so I knew about them. And before the Monkey Island Tall Tales, I did plan to play the games, didn't do it. Just watched a Let's Play or a no commentary playthrough, or what you want to call it, of the first game. And I really enjoyed that, and it really helped me enjoy the Tall Tales as well. So what's your background story?
Monkey Island is obviously before my time. I played the first one. I think I bought it when I first got my new PC in June 2021. And I just never downloaded them and played them. But early last year, I think it was about January, I started playing the first one. And I managed to finish it right before the announcement. What a coincidence, I know. And I'm about halfway.
It's like you knew it was coming.
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
My lawyer has advised me not to continue with this. No,
right.
In all seriousness, I'm halfway through the second one, but I haven't continued with it. But I did really like the first game. I thought it was fantastic. So yeah, I was quite excited to see that Monkey Island was coming to Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I remember seeing the trailer and being excited as well. Even if I didn't play the games at that point, but I was like, "Oh, nice! We're getting Tall Tales from another video game franchise," and that excites me more than a movie franchise. So even if I didn't play the games, I was more excited for the initial trailer than I was for Pirates of the Caribbean.
That's weird. I was more excited for Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, I guess different things. I like video game crossovers more. It makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, like like Rare did it with their own franchises as well. Like you saw Banjo and Diddy Kong Racing, and stuff like that. So they already did crossovers in the past. And to me, in my mind, like all the video games chill together in this big network, and movies are separate from that. So that's the reason why I think.
It is interesting though, because I had the same reaction to both trailers, 2 years apart, amazingly. What about Flameheart? And yeah,
Yeah, that would be cool if you saw a trailer about actual Sea of Thieves tall tales.
I think you're asking a bit much there.
I think so. Yeah, yeah. They forgot about Sea of Thieves and Sea of Thieves.
Well, Sea of Thieves? Don't know her.
Another Rare franchise? Nah, we can't do a crossover with that. The second Monkey Island tall tale is the one with Booty Island, right?
No,
Oh, okay. I thought there was none called Booty Island.
there is. Do you mean the second game?
Yeah, the second game.
Not
yeah,
the
yeah.
second Tall Tale. Yeah, the second game's got Booty Island in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought I said second game, but whatever.
Well, you didn't.
Oh, all right.
When you're editing this later, remember that you're wrong.
Okay. That's how editing usually goes with me. I can edit it out so people won't know.
But leave my comments in.
And Kate is from the second Monkey Island as well, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have some influences from the second Monkey Island tall tale, but and it takes place after the third one, right? These tall tales.
Yeah, third, and I think Mike said before Legend of Monkey Island. No,
Yeah.
not Legend of Monkey Island. That's the fucking Sea of Thieves one. Return to Monkey Island.
Yeah, gotcha. But the entire tall tales are more a pseudo recap of the original Monkey Island tall tale, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think is a good choice. Not to focus on the other games, just the first one. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that's the one that will carry the most like nostalgia and weight. But it was good they included a few other bits from the sequels, like Murray and Kate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm happy with that, especially as someone who hasn't finished 2 or 3.
Yeah, that's good, and it's good for me too, since I only watched the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But the downside to that is that you kind of have to be familiar with the Monkey Island game, otherwise a lot of the jokes don't land. Do you also agree with that?
Yeah, I think if you're not aware of Monkey Island humor and writing, I mean, it's not like it's the most highbrow or complex or anything, but it is a bit of a far cry from Sea of Thieves humor. Sea of Thieves isn't that different, I'd say. I'd say Rare's humor and the sort of Monkey Island games have quite a similar brand. And if you read a lot of the item descriptions and little flavor text like that, it's very similar to sort of old Rare games. And yeah, you can see the flavors of Monkey Island and influence on the person who's writing those little quips.
Yeah, I agree with that. You don't really get it as much in the normal tall tales or the adventures, the humor, the Rare humor, but you do see it in the descriptions a lot, and also in the trailers. They're a bit the characters act a little bit more cartoony than they do in the game.
I think Sea of Thieves' story, actual narrative, is very serious, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Even though when you speak to certain NPCs, it's quite a jovial place, and the books are serious as well.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Yeah, so it's a weird balance they're trying for. But I think it works. If it was a bit too silly, you couldn't take yourself serious as a pirate, I guess.
True.
But I think like 90% of my enjoyment of these tall tales came from being familiar with the Monkey Island franchise. Do you also agree with that?
To an extent, I think there's other aspects that you would enjoy and appreciate if you've never heard of the games before. But yeah, I suppose that accounts for that 10%.
But you played with people, like I played by myself because I'm like that. I like to play with myself. But you played with people that didn't play the video games, the Monkey Island video games. So how was their experience then?
It depends, right? I'm going to name him and shame him. Yagnar was quite negative about it, purely because a bit of a Debbie Downer anyway, isn't he?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there was this whole thing where he's quite a big. He's a massive Reaper fan, and we're both in the same camp that we're waiting for Flameheart. And you had this whole sort of negativity around season 9 as well that probably didn't help. But I think Vlek enjoyed them, and he hasn't played the games, and I think Pengu was the same. So I think it's a mixed bag. If you haven't played the games, it can go either way, really.
Yeah, I think that Fleck did watch a few playthroughs too. Well, I could be wrong.
I think you're right, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's some stuff that you notice, like the trademark behind names, and it's like, oh, that's funny for in Sea of Thieves, but it's what they done in the Monkey Island franchise, so it's extra funny. Or when you see the troll outfit that George Lucas used, like they didn't use George Lucas as a character, but you can still find his troll outfit near that bridge over there. And if you didn't play or didn't watch the Monkey Island video game, you don't get those references.
No.
Same with the red herring. That was the first thing I've done because I arrived at Melee Island or Melee Island, and there's a spot where in the video game, the Monkey Island video game, you can fish for a red herring. And I was like, oh, I'm at Melee Island. Let me try if I can catch that fish. So normally you need to wait until you get the key for that door and go to, the little dock over there. But you can just, sword launch over there and just start fishing. And I got a red herring before the game asked me to do that. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, there are a load of other things like Spiffy or Mancomb, or even let me use another example, like the root beer, the root beer bottles at the end of the first Tall Tale. You were not going to get that.
Yeah.
You think, why are we killing ghosts with root beer? That's stupid.
I think I missed that as well in when I watched that playthrough. What was the reason again?
It's made from a root that the indigenous tribe of Monkey Island basically used to scare ghosts away or kill ghosts. And Guybrush made root beer with that particular root.
Yeah, I do remember it because the root beer came more at the end, or in the video game, and it came quite early in the Tall Tale.
Yeah,
and they left out the natives of Monkey Island too, right? In the Tall Tales.
Yeah, that was a bit disappointing. But maybe Rare might have seen them as a product of their time rather than something that's can be carried forward to the current generation.
Yeah, that's what I figured as well. Just, they're trying to play it safe. Can't really blame them, I guess. But it was a little bit disappointing.
I don't blame them. Of course, someone's going to raise a complaint about that. It's definitely going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Just like they did with the hairstyle and whatever. We're not gonna turn the podcast into
yet anyway. Yeah, anyway.
I think I made it short about it, so there you go.
This emote is banned. No, these cosmetics are banned. Still miss my spit emote.
Yeah, that's true. Which again, that's good that you're talking about the spit emote actually, because when it first was introduced, I was like, oh, just a spit emote, right? And it's called Spitting Contest. But I think in the Monkey Island video games, I think the second one, it's actually a contest you need to do in the game. So it was actually a reference to the Monkey Island series.
But apparently people were using it to be toxic, so you can't have that.
People toxic in Sea of Thieves. I've never seen that.
Never, ever. I don't know anyone that used the spit emote to troll your enemies. No one at all.
Yeah. So certainly not you. So, anything else you want to talk about your history with the franchise?
No, we've covered that, I think.
Yeah. So let's go to the summary or story recap.
Just gonna mute my mic for this bit.
Yeah, it's quite long, but I tried to make it short. So here I go. Our story actually begins with the adventure, A Dark Deception, in which we are tricked by LeChuck uncovering the burning blade. And I'm talking about the cutlass, not the ship. This blade was originally called the Sword of Souls and was given by the Order of Souls to Pendragon to aid him in rescuing trapped souls. Pretty obvious, and you can see this during the Seabound Soul Tall Tale. During the Return of the Damned adventure, Pendragon uses this blade in hopes of trapping Flameheart in a deep place inside of the Sea of the Damned, but this fails since everyone and their mother wanted Flameheart to make a physical appearance. So in this process, the Sword of Souls gets corrupted and infused with some new powers that LeChuck really wants to use for his own goals, meaning taking revenge on Guybrush. Because Guybrush and LeChuck, they don't get along. Like mentioned before, LeChuck tricks us in opening the treasure vault of the Pirate Lord, which is on Port Merrick, and he then steals the Burning Blade for himself. Using its power, LeChuck traps Guybrush in his memories and shapes them to be the perfect world for him, meaning Guybrush is the legend of Monkey Island, trademarked. We are then recruited by Ramsey and Kate Capsize and are tasked with freeing Guybrush and putting a stop to LeChuck. In the first Tall Tale, we do various tasks to be granted an audience with Guybrush. This works, but we discover he is not yet in his right mind and he quickly falls asleep. We then find a letter from Elaine explaining she left Millie Island in search for help and we should speak to Corina, the voodoo lady on Millie Island. She basically tells us to wait a month so the developers can finish the second Tall Tale, and we are then teleported back to the Sea of Thieves. Our task in the second Tall Tale starts with dispelling the cursed fog so we can get our hands on certain artifacts that help us make a special brew to cure Guybrush from his delusional trance. We collect these artifacts by completing the 3 trials, because of course we do. And with all these artifacts collected, Corina finishes her brew, and we use this on Guybrush. This again works, and after we give him some time to get his act together, we set sail for Monkey Island. This part is the third and final Tall Tale in which we do various tasks to enter the lair of LeChuck. In there, we find him and defeat his ship with the help of Kate and Elaine. This part really sucks when you're playing solo. After his ship is defeated, the fight is not over since all this sailing throughout these caves gave LeChuck enough time to power up the Burning Blade. He uses these new powers to kidnap Elaine and Guybrush, and we are brought back to Millie Island by Corina. We rush to the church where LeChuck is again using his powers to force us and the Pirate Lord in submission. Also, the Pirate Lord is there as well. But Kate arrives with some monkeys. One of them disarms LeChuck, and the Pirate Lord teleports the Burning Blade and all the characters out of there, except us and LeChuck. We have our final insult, sword fighting battle, which we win, and then we all celebrate on the docks. Everybody is happy, we get a super awesome chanty for our reward, and the Burning Blade is back with the Pirate Lord. So this is just a quick summary. At least I hope it was quick. Did I miss anything important?
No, you covered everything. I can't nitpick on that.
All right. It's pretty self-contained, the story, right?
Pretty self-contained is a bit of an understatement. It's very self-contained.
Yeah, so not that many. Like the Pirates of the Caribbean Tall Tales, they were really integrated with the story of Sea of Thieves, and they were both pushing the story forward, as well as the story of Jack being there, but also the story of what's happening in the Sea of Thieves and what's happening with the sirens and stuff like that. And these Tall Tales, they don't really do that, right?
No, there's hints to it, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like it was meant to be a bit different, but they just never really come through with anything of significance to the Sea of Thieves story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Because it doesn't have any effect. We don't take anything with us. The Burning Blade, the cutlass, was in the hands of the Pirate Lord before these Tall Tales began, and it also ended up in his hands after these Tall Tales. So it's just like a reset. Like these Tall Tales could not have happened, and nothing would have changed for the Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, if this didn't happen, just expunge it from your memory. The story of Sea of Thieves would be in the same place right now as of November 2023 as it would have been in January 2023.
Yeah. Do you think that's intentional?
Probably. So I think it might be a slight overcorrection of people complaining about Pirates of the Caribbean interfering in Sea of Thieves lore, although I do think the Dark Brethren is one of the best things about Pirates of the Caribbean or A Pirate's Life, sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's good for creating a neat little side quest and side track, but also it's not good for telling a thrilling narrative.
Mhm.
And for people who are really invested in the Sea of Thieves story, and I've heard this complaint loads, and I've read people's comments that it feels like a tangent when we could have been continuing with the story that people were really invested in, especially when we have two really good plot lines that have both ended on cliffhangers at the end of 2022 and the start of 2023.
Yeah, and I agreed with that. I can feel the disappointment. I've actually heard of people that were very invested in the adventures, and now they don't really want to play Sea of Thieves again because it's been so long, and they're not invested anymore, which kind of sucks. So you could argue, like, was this a smart thing to do to make it self-contained? Personally, I don't really mind because I'm here for the long run, anyways. Yes, of course, I miss these adventures and I miss the more Sea of Thieves focused tall tales. But when we eventually do get those adventures back and like, we do get those tall tales again, then I'm like, all right, I didn't mind the wait at all because I was always here to play this game for 10 years or whenever I die. So I don't know how you look to that.
I agree with that. The only caveat being that if the adventures don't deliver these narrative payoffs, then that's going to piss people off even more.
Mm.
Because there's a lot of unfinished plot points in the Sea of Thieves lore that were started by the first 12 adventures.
Yes.
And there's two big ones that obviously need to pay off. It's Flameheart's return needs to be amazing because it's been delayed for so long, and people are very impatient now. And
yeah, it's been well over a year.
It's
so
over
I
a year,
totally
and
get that.
it'll be well over a year before he's back. I don't feel like it's happening anytime soon. It's definitely not going to be in January. February possibly, but I'm thinking more March or April. Maybe March for the anniversary. That wouldn't be too bad. 6 years of waiting for Flameheart as a gift. But sorry, yeah, to go on a tangent, I think, yeah, and the Briggsea Temple thing needs to pay off as well. I think that needs to be a bit of a spectacle. The other stuff, like, the Ancients and the Ancient Prisoner, those are sort of little footnotes. The Great Warrior, that's fine to leave on a string because we've got two more important things to resolve first.
Yep.
Personally, I think they're going to resolve together. That makes sense to me, especially the way things are sort of stirring at the moment. But yeah, after that, we need to hit the ground running with adventures. They need to be fun. Obviously, we know they're going to be replayable, and they need to deliver on those story beats that we saw from the first Tall Tales, really from 1 to 11.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think the Tall Tales and the adventures are put on hold because of the Monkey Island Tall Tales?
Yeah, I think something weird happened in 2023 for Sea of Thieves. So I get the feeling that this was meant to be announced for the anniversary, but they weren't ready. And we had the whole weirdness with a massive gap between Adventures 11 and 12. And
Yep, and 12 it's something different than 11 because it
yes,
suddenly focused on LeChuck and the Burning Blade again. Instead, we were doing this story of Briggsea and the skeleton cure and stuff like that.
It really makes sense when you think of it that way. So we had Adventure 11, which was the Secret Wilds of Briggsea, and then Adventure 12 would have come out in February, and that would have been the LeChuck adventure, or Dark Deception, even though it doesn't exist apparently, that title. It's been removed from all social media. And then March for the anniversary would have been Monkey Island Tall Tales. That makes more sense to me, because then when you line it up with, so let's say March, April, May, maybe March, April, May, yeah, around about that for the 3 Tall Tales, there would have been a little bit of a break. And then October would have made sense for Flameheart to come back in Return of the Damned because he came back in the Festival of the Damned. We just didn't say which one, which would be fair. And it feels like something internally has caused a lot of this to shift forward. Then what should have happened by now is we should have had the Temple Voyage because it was teased in those orb teasers. Flameheart should have been back, and we should have started the arc for the struggle for the Burning Blade. But because of those internal delays, Monkey Island was probably a bit further along. Story got
Yep.
rewritten a little bit. I think guilds was the thing that caused all this to happen, by the way. Let's just quickly make it nice and neat. So let's just go over the year. January was the adventure we had in Season 8. Fine. February would have been this. It would have been a Dark Deception. March would have been where Season 9 came out originally. So that would have been the 3 Monkey Island Tall Tales and what we had as Season 9. Those finish. Then we would have got guilds in, what was it originally intended to be, July?
I'd just take your word for it, mate.
July. We would have had a little bit of a break because guilds is quite taxing. July, August, September, probably no adventures as the team recover. October would have been Festival of the Damned with Flameheart coming back. November would have been, I think November. See, here's the thing. So I think with Return of the Damned, sorry, I keep saying Return of the Damned, Festival of the Damned, we would have had Flameheart return and the Briggsy Temple arc as one.
Okay.
Then November comes around and that's Season 11. And we know the Skull of the Siren song was going to launch then.
Yeah.
So that would make sense why Briggsy needs the skulls.
Because that's not explained at this moment, which is also a bit curious, right? Because obviously they made the decision to have Briggsy there to do this voyage with us.
Yeah.
And obviously there's some lore attached to those skulls, but it's not explained why.
Yeah.
And I think there's a reason for that.
Well, Lorena does say something about that she needs it to summon a creature or a portal, but it's
portal. Vague. It's really vague, yeah.
Those two could probably be interchangeable, so that probably happens around the same time. Maybe Skull of the Siren song in November, that starts, and then we get the temple voyage itself. Then December, we probably have a little adventure. Maybe the Burning Blade conflict starts up, and that would be the year. But obviously, Guilds has shifted that all around. And since we know Flameheart's coming back next year, we see what's been shuffled around.
We hope.
If they didn't, I would just fully be done with this franchise.
Wow, you heard it here first, boys. It seems that they always have like these good ideas to mix the lore and the story with the stuff they're adding gameplay wise, but it all got a little bit messed up this year.
Do you think now, while we're in this topic, do you think Flameheart has taken so long to come back because Rare don't really know how to implement him?
Oh, I don't think so. No, I think they know how to do it. I think really Guilds and also the Monkey Island Tall Tales really messed up their schedule. But I think they planned it out. Yeah, I think they did.
It's just strange to me that we have this narrative that's on a one-way course to really get him back that started with Shrouded Island. Well, even further, Seabound Soul. And we get a choice to maybe like give Rare some more time to think about it, basically, if Pendragon survives. And then something happens and internally delays happen. And how do you bring this larger-than-life character that's the arc villain of the Sea of Thieves, other than the captain maybe, who is someone who is very physical and he's not Ramsey, he does get others to do his bidding, but when shit needs to be done that's important, you've seen in that novel that he goes out and does it. How do you tell a story around that where players are meant to be the main character? And how would you implement that character without making him a punching bag in a world event? It's a really tough thing to do in a sandbox game that has a story, that has players be the main vehicle of changing the story. And then you add someone who is so paramount to the balance of the Sea of Thieves without making it underwhelming, you know?
Yeah, those are good questions, and I let the developers answer them.
It's a big task, especially when he's been hyped up for going on 6 years soon from the Tales from the Sea of Thieves book. Ramsey makes more sense in how he appears because he's retired, right? But Flameheart very much isn't retired, and he wants back in. And you saw in the book that he goes round and he fights people, and he has a lair with loads of galleons that he sunk surrounding it. He does things like that, and you need something big to really usher that in, and I think you need to keep him as a presence in the world because he can't just sit under the Reaper's hideout and give you quests, because that would be underwhelming.
Yeah, maybe, because we'll talk briefly about this, because at the beginning of Sea of Thieves, I always saw him as the final boss, and we'll do a Tall Tale, and we have a boss fight at the end. But it kind of shifted now with the Reaper's Bones as a faction, and even with the new PvP, the Outlaws battles. You can't really have him as a final boss anymore. He needs to be presence in the game forever, even when all the updates are done. Players still need to choose if they want to side with Flamehart or if they want to side with Athena or just want to be Bildreds or whatever. So I never see him move away from the Sea of Thieves. Like, that's not an option anymore. But yeah, how to implement him then? That's a good question.
I think Rez laid some good groundwork with the 2 adventures that we choose sides and making the Reapers a more viable alternative to Pirate Legends. With the whole layers and, Servants of the Flame, things like that have really gone a long way to establishing those are the 2 key factions. And despite the book being Flameheart is completely evil and he has no redeeming qualities as opposed to what we had in the lore before, the sort of nuancy bits of his relationship with the Servant of the Flame, they have laid the groundwork to, hey guys, sorry to disappoint, but this is not going to be a world event that you go and beat on for the next 5 years. He's now a viable choice, sorry, but that's good because I think we need to move on from the fact that he's the main villain and get some new villains in.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah.
Maybe Flameheart and the Pirate are going to work together.
That would make sense narratively against the Captain or the GMU, but, we'd have to have some sort of development for Flameheart to push him towards being a more sort of either neutral or sympathetic character for that to make sense.
You can tell it's been a while since we've done these podcasts because we really want to get this out of our system as well.
Yeah, I think it's all relevant in the context of how these tall tales are played out.
But let's focus a little bit more on the monkeys. So what do you think of the story, the self-contained story? Was it good? Were we happy with it?
Yeah, generally it's really good. It's very Monkey Island. The only thing I didn't really like, and I've heard others express these, not concerns, but these criticisms that at the end that it was all very lovey-dovey, and I don't think Guybrush is really like that, about friendship and companionship. Guybrush is not like that. He's quite selfish, and he does a lot of things for himself. And I think the only person he really cares about is Elaine. And even then, they argue and they split up in the first game. That's, the whole plot point of the second game. So, yeah, he's a bit of a doofus as well.
Yeah, I guess so. I just have to take your word for that. Because I haven't played the second one. But yeah, you're right. He's a bit more not taking it serious, this lovely-dovey stuff. But still, I still liked it. I actually liked that it was self-contained. And indeed, they really made an effort to hit the same notes as a Monkey Island video game.
Yeah.
But also made it a little bit different. So like, you're doing the 3 trials again, because, that's from the game. But it's a little bit different. And I like that. And so in the first Telltale 2, you work up to the manor over there, which is also something you do in the video game. You also go to the shop. You interact with the same characters. They're in the same places. They act the same or similar as they've done in the video game, but the context is all changed for these tall tales, and I think they handled it very well.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anything that stood out in these tall tales?
Good or bad? Are you talking about the story now?
Yeah, story-wise, or maybe a certain scenery that really appealed to you.
I think the ending cutscene was really good. How you were forced into that and you had to watch it play out. It felt very cinematic. But the only...
Oh yeah, where you lose control, right?
Yeah, I think they should have done that a little bit differently. I think instead of having Kate swing through the window, which is quite, with the monkeys as well, I think that's a good reference. When LeChuck is asking if anyone objects, obviously the Pirate Lord has turned up and he gets felled by the burning blade. Flameheart should have, because his soul's in there, he should have said, I object, and the blade shatters. Because then you solve 2 problems. You get a Flameheart tease. Because there's a few Flameheart references, both obviously from Briggsy now, but in the Tall Tale in the insult sword fighting at the end. But also, the burning blade is this magical object that is so powerful now that is a really overpowered weapon that it can control people. It can even defeat the Pirate Lord. That maybe just getting it out of the picture would be better. And by shattering it, that sets up Flameheart's return. And obviously Pendragon would then be whole again in the Sea of the Damned. So that sets up his eventual comeback in probably next year or the year after. I think that would be not too much that, it's all about Flameheart and Pendragon or what have you. It's more about like, this is just a little nuance to say like, yeah, we still have these plans, and we're just using that as a narrative device to, allow the good guys to win just by Flameheart being pissed off that someone wants to use his soul for something that he doesn't agree with.
But the Burning Blade, it is really powerful at the moment. It can teleport people. It can,
can
freeze
fly.
people. They can fly now. But it only works in the Sea of the Damned, right?
I don't think so, no. I think it works in the Sea of Thieves as well.
That's what I thought of it.
I think
what did we see in the Dark Deception then?
I think
he just got it and he teleported away, right?
Yeah, I think he uses that to go to the Sea of the Damned. If it only works in the Sea of the Damned, it's pretty useless, right? You can't take over the Sea of Thieves with that, and that's what LeChuck wanted to do.
Well, you can trap. Oh, yeah, I guess so. But you can't trap people in the Sea of the Damned with a Burning Blade. Like he made Millie Island. He made Guybrush feel like he's a legend of Monkey Island. That was what the new powers of the Burning Blade did.
But
that can be. Guess if
you can just bind someone and do that and get them out of the picture, which is already a thing in the universe.
Yeah, I guess so. But if say somebody dies and he died, then you can just travel to the Sea of the Damned and lock him there so he doesn't get back.
I suppose, yeah. But I'm 99% sure the Burning Blade
do that before.
Still works as is.
So so somebody that has a Burning Blade in the Sea of Thieves can, lock people in place and fly potentially.
I think flying, teleportation, and controlling people's minds are very powerful things.
I think so too. I think so too. I hope the Pirate Lord chooses a different place now to hide that artifact.
At least it sets up the next conflict nicely. But it does also mean that we still have the Flameheart arc carrying on after he's back, which I guess is fair, because if he came back, did something, and that's it, I think people would be a bit pissed off of that.
Yeah, like another cliffhanger of Flameheart that doesn't get resolved, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Something that stood out for me were the memoirs, actually, because you have these accommodations you can go for where you need to sit and then you listen to Guybrush retell his stories of the original Monkey Island.
Yeah, those are really good.
Yeah, and not only the memoirs are cool, because obviously, you get those connections with the video game if you played Monkey Island. And you're like, oh yeah, I remember that from the video game. Or from the YouTube video I watched. But it also looks very much like, if you sit down, it does look like a screen from the Monkey Island video game.
Yeah.
So the art direction is really great, and it really goes to show when you sit down and do those memoirs.
I think it's fair to say this was a love letter to the franchise, in the same way that A Pirate's Life was very much like that. And as much as we both sit here and say, what about the Sea of Thieves story? I think that does not take away from the merit of this. How lovingly crafted these tall tales were. And I know people are quite negative about that, or they don't care about Monkey Island, but the artistry and the passion on display here is very, very apparent. Yeah,
exactly. Because they made puzzles and quests that fit the Monkey Island franchise. And the characters are all true, and especially it helps also that the voice actors are the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a love letter. Really happy with that. I think they made it as best as they could. I also really like that it feels like everything is to scale. Like Millie Island, they made everything, and you can go everywhere. And Monkey Island to an extent as well. Like it feels to scale, and I think they handled that perfectly.
Yeah, I don't think anyone could argue against that. And even something as little as having all the voice lines voice acted as well, just really brought it into just a more premium feel.
Oh yeah, now I want it in Sea of Thieves.
Well, we'll see about that. If they took all the Sea of Thieves characters out and it was a 3D remake of the first game, I think people would be very impressed with that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the plot
Yeah.
would be different, but at least they can show that Monkey Island does work in a 3D setting.
Yeah, feels like a video game inside a video game.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've done a good job. But maybe a bit too much walking. Maybe if you're a solo player. But oh well, that's one of the few complaints. Then, how do they compare to other Tall Tales?
So I think I was very pleased with the first one. Obviously, that's a honeymoon thing. That's really hard to say. Quality-wise, let's not including bugs and glitches, because there was a couple. I think they're the highest quality Tall Tales. I think they did a really good job compared to A Pirate's Life, where you feel like you're not necessarily on a ride, but you're actually engaging with the world.
Yes.
But I think that's what Pirate's Life's objective was. And they did have cool gameplay segments as well mixed in. I would say the quality is as good, or if not better, than the previous Tall Tales. But I think that's apples to oranges comparison, where I think all 4 phases of Tall Tales, from Jewels of Gold to the Ashen Age to the Pirate's Life ones to these, they all have different things that they do better than the other. Apart from the Wild Rose Tall Tale, that one just sucks, doesn't it? No. So no, the worst one is I think it's Art of the Trickster. No, not Art of the Trickster. The third one, where you have to do a lot of sailing. Legendary Storyteller. There we go.
Yeah,
that's not a good Tall Tale. It's just far too much sailing. But
they changed it, right? Since then, right?
No,
It's a bit less. Okay,
there's basically around the map.
Okay, I do want to replay that one now that we know more about Brixie, but we'll see.
Maybe we should do a replay together.
Maybe.
And I can get some footage as well.
Still need the trinket, Telltale trinket, so I'm all down.
Fair enough. Maybe when Save for Seas comes out.
That doesn't count. You don't get milestones and
Save for Seas. Yeah.
Yep.
Me and my homies hate Save for Seas.
We're never gonna play it. Just for clips. That's us. Just for clips.
I can just boot up a custom server then.
We know, Mister. I'm a partner and you are not. So I agree with you. It's kind of hard to compare these Tall Tales with the other Tall Tales because they are so different and they do stuff really well, but they do it differently than other Tall Tales. I really like them, obviously. But how did they compare to each other then? Maybe that's a bit easier to do.
I think the first one is the most polished, story-wise and pacing. And I think it's a bit shorter just to ease people into how the gameplay mechanics work and the puzzles. The second one has probably the best overall activities. I think apart from the running around, I did enjoy the insult sword fighting, even though it was a bit glitchy. I don't know of how you hit people. I enjoyed it. I really loved exploring Melee Island, but the last one for me was almost perfect, apart from 2 things. The first one was that we got soft locked because we hit the wrong thing with the boulder.
Yeah.
I
guess that can happen, right?
Yeah, I can't remember what you hit first, but if you don't hit the monkey idol first, the catapult bugs and you can't interact with it anymore. You can still fling stones, but you can't change the angle of direction. And the second one was not necessarily the fight with LeChuck. It's getting to the fight with LeChuck where you're just driving the ship, waiting around for the NPCs at the front to use the cannons. They could have cut that section by a third and it would have been fine. It just felt like five minutes of just sailing and nothing was happening. I think that section just let the Tall Tale down.
Yeah, it looks great. Like the art direction is really great in those caverns.
Yeah, and the fight with LeChuck's really fun. It's quite different as well. It's just the chase bit. It was far too long. I don't know why it was so long. It wasn't thrilling enough to be that long.
Yeah, I agree. I did it solo too, so it just sucked as well. It was not fun. It really brought it down a little bit because you are waiting for those 2 people at the front to shoot. I'm like, come on, I can shoot better than that. Just get
Mhm.
to it already. And then they disappeared. Like, oh, the ship is defeated. And oh no, you need to turn the ship around because it spawns there, and it's just tedious.
Mhm.
It's not hard. It's not fun. It's just a bit boring actually. Oh well, didn't really like that segment. That's true.
Monkey Island was just stunning, though. It looked even better than Melee Island. Just the sort of golden haze of the pink rocks and the foliage and the swamps and the waterfalls. It was just absolutely brilliant to look at.
Yeah, it looked really well.
I think we can both agree that Rare has never missed when it comes to art direction, especially for Sea of Thieves. The masters of presentation, both music and visuals. It's a very pretty game, and they continue to amaze me with everything they release.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. They're really good at capturing the. They have a lot of good. What's the word? Technical artists.
It's not
They do a
even
really good job.
It's not even that. It's the concept art. It's the models. Like even with Skull of the Siren Song, the skull looks amazing. And it's just something that you use to turn in, and that sort of thing just makes the game feel really well polished in that section. Yeah.
Yep.
Just gushing over art.
So if I had to rank these Tall Tales, I would also put the final one at number 1, and then the first one at 2, and the second one was the weakest, but it was still good.
Yeah, I agree with that ranking. I think out of 10, what would you rate each of them?
Probably 10, 8, 10.
10, 8, 10. I would go 9.5, 8, 9.6, something like that.
Okay,
That's how much the first and third one has in for me, like a 0.1 of a score.
Yeah, they were really good. So that's nice to know that they were really pleased with them. Anything you missed? Did they give everything you wanted, or did you want something more?
Just maybe a few more Monkey Island style cosmetics. Obviously we got a lot in the Pirate Emporium, but obviously we got the costumes that were earnable and the Mighty Pirate Sword, which is really neat that Rare went back and fixed that. I think they're slight recolors though, but that doesn't really matter. Yeah, I think this sounds really stupid and it's going to sound really weird coming from me. That last Pirate Emporium update with the Guybrush sails and figurehead felt like it was a bit of a disappointment because that looked like they were earnable stuff. A figurehead and sails. Like, they've never done that before, as far as I can remember. They've done sails. I think they've done a figurehead by itself. Or if they've done them, it's a flag, figurehead, and sails, right? But doing just 2, it feels like, oh, yeah, let's just take these from the earnables. Trinkets were a bit... trinket rewards for all of it apart from the Burning Blade. And
so we get figurines. We get figurines, like we get Guybrush and Lilane. Those are separate. We get that for the first Tall Tale. Then we get the idol trinket. We got some paintings as well, both of LeChuck and Guybrush, right? And then at the final end, you get the Burning Blade Cutlass, and if you done them all, you get the Shanty.
Yeah. Shanty was really good, by the way. I haven't got it yet because of the commendations being a bit buggy, but I think...
To me, those rewards are perfect, actually. Like the Burning Blade Cutlass, hell yeah, that's a perfect reward. Shanty, perfect reward, something you can keep on using. And those paintings and figurines, like if you want them on your ship, you can just place them and they're there forever.
I would agree with you, but we get a fuckload of trinkets, and I'm a bit bored of getting them now. Cool, they were great when Captaincy came out, but this isn't necessarily for this Tall Tale. But actually, yeah, fuck it, it is. There was loads of piratey outfits in the first and second Tall Tales that haven't been released for players, and they're obviously done and modelled because they're on, the characters that are the same as ours. They're just NPCs, and they could have added a few of those in the vein that we got things like the Cursed Captain's hat, which is very piratey in A Pirate's Life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It perfectly makes sense. Yeah, and we need some more cosmetics to wear as well.
Yeah, I also would like them to actually release furniture for the captaincy stuff while we're on the topic, because that was a thing that got started, and the only thing we've had since is in season 8, which was over a year ago, and the other is just being drip fed through community days.
Yeah, which I missed, and I'm
And we
Totally
know,
not happy about that at all.
we have them. They're ready to go because they were in the trailer. There's 2 sets they haven't released. I don't know what they're waiting for.
Whoa, I haven't seen those. What are those sets?
You can't see from the trailer that they're recolors, but there's
Are
two.
they?
There's
Wow.
2 extra. Wow, that's not like rare. There's actually, to be fair, we did get new clothing in the shops recently. So, but yeah, in the trailer, there's 2 extra captaincy sets that didn't release with season 7, but it's still in the season 7 trailer.
Okay, but what are they based on that?
I think based on the things we have now, like is it the Forsaken Ashes set we have?
Uh, Wait, if it's a Forsaken Ashes, then it's just a recolor of the Ashen furniture, right?
Maybe it was Forsaken Ashes and the Wailing Barnacle because we have the Silent Barnacle. It's a set that we already have.
Just
that was an original
differently.
set. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you can see them in the trailer.
Okay, well, it doesn't get me that excited, but at least we know something. Some recolors are coming, right?
It's like coming. It's been over a year since they were shown off. You know what Rare's like with this sort of thing.
Yeah, sadly, yeah.
Can't release too much, guys, because they won't buy stuff from the Emporium.
All right. I wanna bring the topic back to what we were missing, because we know what you wanted more. But I was kind of disappointed that we didn't see a talking tattoo.
Oh, that would be really hard to pull off, though, wouldn't it?
It would, but it was such a standout in the video game that I was like, oh, of course we're gonna get that in these Tall Tales, but we didn't.
No, I think that's quite technically annoying.
I guess so, but they made the shirt work for the salesman.
True, I suppose not something that we can earn, but more so something that is featured in the Tall Tale itself.
Yeah, well, we can buy the salesman outfit in Emporium, right?
True. Imagine a talking tattoo giving you away when you're tucking there.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't need to be talking all the time, but like it could move in the Emporium,
or an emote,
or an emote, I guess. Yeah,
yeah, that's
or
fair.
at the very least, I would have wanted it in the Tall Tale. Yeah,
fair enough.
So it was a little bit disappointed that we didn't see the talking tattoo. And in case the listeners are wondering, that's the guy in where you need to defeat the beast, which is just a small parrot. But he has a tattoo, and in the Monkey Island game, that tattoo can talk.
There we go.
And we missed that, and we also missed the natives, but we talked about that. So do you feel? I know the answer. Do you feel the story is wrapped up? I think we can all say yes. But do you think we will get more Monkey Island in the future?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think like Pirates of the Caribbean, I think that's just a one-off thing. Although I wouldn't be surprised if a Pirate's Life came back, but I don't think we need it, nor that there is a need to.
Money.
Money.
Yeah, people come when you put Jack Sparrow in the game.
Jack Sparrow is a different story. I don't think. Obviously, I don't have access to Rare's account, but I would be shocked if this did the same numbers that Pirate's Life did.
Of course not. No, I didn't.
Yeah, I would be shocked. No, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say I'd be shocked if it was a commercial success, but I think it would have been. I think as a player-based success, I don't think it was.
No, you can see it online as well, right? And people are making less content about the Monkey Island Tall Tales than they did about the Pirates Life Tall Tales.
Yeah, and that's to be expected. It's a smaller franchise by far.
Yeah, and it's Daddy's franchise, isn't it? Not the new kids.
Oh yeah, Granddad's franchise. No, that's harsh. No.
No, but you can really tell it's what the developers liked when they grew up playing video games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if there are any hip new pirate franchises that would do better, like video game franchises that well. I can't think of them, but maybe Skull and Bones crossover. Who knows?
Yeah, Rare would love that, wouldn't they?
Oh well. So let's now hop back again to the cosmetics, because I actually wanted to have a separate segment about it, but we already talked about it.
Huh.
The only yeah.
No, I said ha, as in I've ruined the flow.
It's fine. I'm used to that. I do want to talk about the added new rewards because last month, like the titles are done and dusted, but now we can play them again for new rewards. So if you finish the first title again, you get a chef's uniform. If you finish the second one again, you get a circus superstar costume. And if you finish the last one, you get the Legend of Monkey Island cutlass. So how do you feel about these new rewards?
I saw a lot of people complaining that they had to play them again, but it's better than getting fuck all, right?
Yeah,
I would rather have new cosmetics for old Tall Tales and play them again, rather
yeah.
than no cosmetics. In fact, in a lot of cases, I'd rather play the Tall Tale again to get new cosmetics rather than just get them handed to me. Because it's like, oh,
Yeah.
you just got this now.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And you don't need to play them now, but
No,
when the mood strikes you again to play these tall tales, like
like
you also have a new reward waiting for you.
when we do our complete playthrough of every single Tall Tale for Blubber's milestones.
Aye, exactly.
And I get rewarded for that as well.
Aye. Um,
They are long though. I'll give people that. Like the last, I think, took us about 3 hours going in blind,
yeah,
and we did have to restart because of the soft lock. But yeah, it can be a
they
bit
are quite
tedious.
long. The replayability is a bit less compared to other tall tales with these ones. But that's fine. Like you don't, like I said before, you don't need to play them now. You can play them next year, and then you're like, oh, I forgot the jokes, and I just want to experience the scenery again. Let's do it. Let's have a fun evening playing these Monkey Island tall tales again.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm really happy with that, and I think they can. If they do it with other tall tales, I'm also happy. I would love to see that.
Yeah,
Not every month a new one, but just once. That would be fine.
I think that would be really cool.
I. Do you think we will get more Monkey Island cosmetics in the future?
No.
So they're done with the Emporium and the new additions.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think there is enough there to say that they can squeeze out a bit more, almost like we had the random A Pirate's Life stuff come out.
Mm,
I don't think there's enough there to be released and say, oh, we can make some good money off of this. I think they've covered all the main bases.
I. Something that will be coming to Sea of Thieves that featured in the Monkey Island Tall Tales are zip lines. Because we we experienced these zip lines in the second Monkey Island Tall Tale, and we all thought, "Wow, wouldn't this be cool if that came to the main game?" And Mike Chapman did confirm it was coming. He tweeted about it. So, how do we feel about that? Zip lines in Sea of Thieves.
Anything that evolves how we traverse islands, a bit like the lifts in season 5 and the traps and stuff, I think is really underutilized. I give season 5 a bad rap, but that was one of the better things. So zip lines could open up the sandbox really nicely. Imagine just being able to zip line from the top of Thieves Haven to the bottom, or from Devil's Ridge Peak down to the beach, or Snake Island across the gaps, things like that, or Marauder's Arch. Anything with verticality, you could add so much to that, just on how we traverse the map and how we travel and how we can interact with other players. I think it's a bit of a no-brainer. It's just a case of where will these zip lines be and will they encourage these interactions?
Yeah. Do you think we'll be using like the rubber chickens, or do they remove the rubber chickens?
I think we'll just use them. We won't have like a rubber chicken with a pulley in the middle.
Yeah, would have been cool. What would you preferred to have, the chickens or not?
No chickens. I think that belongs in Monkey Island because people are going to be like, if they don't know about Monkey Island or they don't intend to play it, why the hell do we have a rubber chicken with a pulley in the middle to use on a zip line?
Yeah.
Copyright as well, I guess. Licensing.
Maybe they can always remove the chickens. And do we think they will be on the big islands, or do we see some new contraptions built to accommodate these zip lines?
They'll probably be on the big islands, right? Could be one on Port Merrick. That would be pretty cool from the lighthouse. But yeah, big islands only. I can't imagine Chicken Isle having one. This takes you from the top of the tree to the beach. Oh, great.
Maybe some zip lines in Flame Art Lair would have been nice. From the beginning opening area straight to the ritual. An ancient spire. I think that's also a nice location for a zip line.
Yeah, Daggertooth would have some good ones. I like Daggertooth Outpost. I don't care what anyone says. I think it's really nicely designed.
Yeah, they should open the bay up.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, and deepen it.
Yeah.
So you can park ships in there.
One thing I want to say, do we know when they're coming to the game?
No.
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 He said
we're still waiting on the clothing presets, aren't we?
We need to ask him about it. To quote Mike Chapman, he said, "Zip lines are coming to the shared world in a season next year." So somewhere in 2024 we'll have them.
So it's either February. Let's do maths now. February 2nd. It's either February, June, or maths. 1, 2, 3, 4, or October next year. If they don't go back to 4 seasons, which I'd be shocked if they did.
Yeah, we'll see about that. But they're coming, and we are excited. So that's about it with the topics I had. Unless you want to add something before we go to the messages.
No, all good.
All right, so let's go to the messages in a bottle, a segment of the podcast where all listeners can send in their own questions and we answer them as best as we can. If you want to send in your own questions, you can join the Salty Hippo Discord. Link will be in the YouTube description. I always notify members when we are close to recording a new episode. So if you want to do that, you can. So let's open a few of these bottles. And the first question comes from Captain Yagnar. Do you think these tall tales should have ended differently in a matter of getting the burning blade to its rightful owner? So we talked about it a little bit. Rightful owner, he's obviously hinting at Flameheart, but rightful owner is Pendragon, isn't he?
Nope. Ancient prophecy stated that Flameheart was the true heir of the burning blade. It's the king's heirloom.
I just feel it doesn't hold up in a court of law. Prophecy, like, why did you steal that? Well, because prophecy told me to. I don't think it hold up, but sure. But do we think? I think we do, right? We feel the burning blade should have they should have done more with it, right?
It should have been destroyed or ended up in Flameheart's hands, just as a, maybe not necessarily in this tall tale, just as a means to drive the story along at least a tiny bit, because we're back to square one. We've basically lost 9 months.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, it's about 11 months, so yeah.
Yeah, and we already talked about it. The reason we think they didn't is because otherwise we would have another cliffhanger and people would be even more disappointed with not getting Flameheart, right?
I don't think that's necessarily the problem. I just think that the whole reasoning I know Mike said on Twitter was that if we add too much Sea of Thieves and we include Flameheart stuff, it's not going to be satisfying for both fans of Sea of Thieves and Monkey Island.
Okay.
Which I somewhat agree with. But obviously one party is getting something at the expense of the other. But I can't imagine anyone would be too impressed that, Flameheart's big return is in a crossover, So, yeah, to answer your question, I don't think it would be a cliffhanger that would be unsatisfying. It would be a good sort of tease to actually see the plot move forward. Because it was never going to be any sort of satisfying resolution with Flameheart, but just a tiny thing is enough. I don't think people will be pissed off of that.
Okay. And I kind of agree. Like I said, I love that it's self-contained. But a little tease to the main story would have been nice.
It depends. It depends what we get in the next 6 months from January. Because if it's really good, what we get as a self-contained story, no one will give a shit. But if it's disappointing, then it's just like, it's been delayed for this Monkey Island, and then, there's still this disappointment even though Monkey Island happened,
Aye. All right, so thanks for that question, Yagnar. Next question comes from Steel Skull. What is a feature introduced in the Tall Tales that you would like to see introduced into the main game sandbox, even if done in a different format/way? So one of the obvious one is the zip lines, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we talked about that. Anything else you would like to see introduced?
I think instance tall tales are really good for the game, not necessarily because I don't like the Sea of Thieves map, but Rare aren't going to add anything to the main Sea of Thieves map as far as I know ever, because it hasn't happened in how many years? Since Pirate's Life, there's a few new locations. And obviously we had the Sunken Kingdom, which is in the same year. But I think you've got a lot more creative freedom by having instance tall tales, and therefore we should have instance adventures so that the art team can create things that are fully new experiences. And with the adventures becoming permanent, they're tall tales and everything but name right. Maybe quality, we'll see. And size.
Yeah, you mean going through the portals, right?
Going through the portals and not necessarily going to the Sea of the Damned, but other locations that are outside the Sea of Thieves or in the past or what have you. Having instance tall tales, even though Save a Seas are coming out, just gives a lot more creative and level design freedom than having to fit something into the map and making sure it doesn't destroy the servers.
Yep, I agree. Like, I would love to go to the IC region. I would love to go to Treasure Trove Cove from the Banjo-Kazooie franchise, or the Dragon Skull Island from the Pendragon franchise. Would love to go there through a portal. And anything else? Anything more specific to the Monkey Island tall tales?
Probably fully voice lines.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I would love to see the root beer make a return in the main game. I've talked about this. I think it's a great alternative to bucketing water. Like, if you have fire, you can just grab a root beer and use that to douse the flames.
Okay.
And the upside would be that there's more water in it. So you don't need to go downstairs and fill your bucket with the water there. So you can control those big fires more easily. But obviously, it's an item you need to find washed up on the shores. You can explain that with some lore as well. And then you just have a fire extinguisher, which you can also use to fight the golden skeletons a bit more easily. And just stuff like that. Like, I think that would be a nice item to have in the main game.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I feel like there's a lot of untapped potential when it comes to sandbox toys in this game.
Yeah, I agree. Also, not really tools, but cosmetic-wise, like you've said before, all those pirates in those tall tales, they wear different outfits, and why don't you bring them to the general stores in the Sea of Thieves, right? You could say, a batch arrived from the Sea of the Damned with new clothing, or I was inspired as a tailor. As a tailor, I was inspired to make these new clothing sets. So we have a fresh stock available.
Only available in the Pirate Emporium.
Sadly, at the moment, only the Pirate Emporium. But oh well. Anything else we want to see added from the Monkey Island Tall Tales?
I think that's basically it.
Three-headed monkey.
Oh, surprised that wasn't in there.
Yeah, could have been a nice pet, but missed opportunity there. I would have bought it.
It's a bit too grotesque for the game, maybe.
Maybe. All right, so yeah, thanks for that question, Steel Skull. We go to the next one. The next one is from Jark. What do you think about the pacing of the Tall Tales, and did it fit the monthly release schedule? Personally, I've only played the first two and felt they could have been refined and made into one Tall Tale. Just felt odd leaving Guybrush behind sleeping for a month. I actually thought it was great they've spread them out across 3 months, so you can keep the hype up. Otherwise, you just finish them all in a weekend and you're done with it and nobody's talking about it anymore. But now you really have time to digest the individual Tall Tales, really savor it in, and then a month later you have a new trailer waiting for you to get you hyped for the second one. So I really like the pacing of these Tall Tales. How about you?
I think it's good for longevity of content, but there is nothing better than booting up a game and seeing there's a lot of stuff for you to do. And part of the magic of a pirate's life is that, one, it hadn't been spoiled for us. Well, it did in the trailers. We just didn't know at the time. We didn't know it was coming. And you boot up the game and you've got, oh shit, I've got these 5 Tall Tales to work through and I can do that at my own pace. And cool, yeah, you can fly through them. I think it took us like 2 days to do them. We did 2, 2, and 3, didn't we? Oh, sorry, 2 and 3. On I think it was a Thursday it came out. I can't really remember. And that was just magical. And I think the same sort of rang true when Anniversary came out. And I know that was the biggest update this game will ever have. But booting up a game and seeing you've got a 9-part story in front of you that people have been wanting for ages, is just amazing. And I think the same thing would ring true with Monkey Island. But I think Rare made the right decision to spread out over 3 months. But I don't think the narrative was that exciting that the wait was, it just felt like you were being strung along just to sort of keep your engagement. And they might have done that as well, actually, because of how little content we had in that period. So it could be a sort of, a padding thing. So yeah, I'm in 2 minds about it, really. I see pluses for both, but I think they were right in how they did it.
Yeah, I still think that even if they release all 3 of them in one go, like Guybrush would still be sleeping, and in the second Tall Tale, we still needed to wait to Guybrush to get his act together and get his crew together to sail, because then you give the pace to the player. Like the player can decide when they're ready to do the adventure, and that also needs to make sense story-wise. And they're very good at that. So I think even if they did release them all in one go, it would not have influenced the story all that much. So yeah, that's how we feel about it, Jark. Thanks for that question. Next one comes from Toby. Toby Echo Zep. Do you wish the Tall Tales were made into their own season, own plunder pass, and some of the features in the main game, even if it meant the current content got pushed back a bit?
No. The content we have now was always going to be pushed back. Actually, yeah, I think I'm going to say no to that, because, as you said, if Skull of the Siren Song got delayed until next year, we would have had Season 9, Monkey Island, and Guilds as our content this year. And I think that would have been an overall pretty weak year for the game. I think it is at the moment. Sorry to be so negative about that. It's definitely the worst.
It has not been the best. Yeah, it's not been the best year for Thieves 2023.
I would go as far as saying it's been the worst, but shit happens, and that's no one's fault. It just, things all came up on top. And I think it really is a testament to, even if we go back as far as 2022, how strong previous years have been. But yeah, I think that would make the year just that bit weaker. And season passes, I think it's nice to have something to work towards, but it's only a couple of play sessions of content. It's really easy to get through the season pass. Again,
is it?
Yeah,
though?
it is. As someone who's played other games with battle passes, Sea of Thieves is battle pass, because that's what it is. It's a battle pass. It is piss easy. And I've seen people complain, say, why you want the seasons to be short? I haven't finished my season pass. And I'm thinking, what the hell are you doing? This is like, I think it's about 8 hours maybe to complete a season pass. 8 hours in 4 months. In this case, it was 7. So no, I don't think the season pass would have made that any better.
It's interesting. I listened to the to DK Fine, to the Conversation podcast, and they play a lot of Sea of Thieves as well. But they often talk about, it's the end of the season. I still need to make sure I finish my season pass. I'm like, what? You also play a lot of Sea of Thieves, but I think they play it in the weekend, and to them, it's not enough. They really need to make an effort to finish the season pass. So I don't know. Is it? Are we the exception then, or
I
what?
just play in the weekend. So I don't know what these people are doing.
I guess maybe because, well, we are. Let's be fair. Like, our skill level is, on the higher end of most players, and we just crank out these world events. We cash in a lot of loot each session, and we hop off to the islands, and we're very efficient. And I think most players aren't just that efficient as us. I don't want to brag or anything like that, but I'm just, we're just a bit more experienced. We know how to get the season pass up.
That, or the vast majority of people play this game once a month.
Maybe, but I think you can also, like, the players that play only once a month, they don't really want to finish the season pass anyways. I feel like they just want to, play whenever they feel like it, and if they get rewards, they get rewards.
It's not like the season pass rewards are really exclusive or anything either.
That's also true.
I personally think the season pass should be decoupled from seasons, and seasons should be binned anyway, because they've been a net negative for this game for a core player, and I think they just hurt the dev team as well. Because put it this way, right? Delays happen in games, and that's just a fact of life. It's no one's. It's someone's fault, but it's not like the average developer's fault. And even your best manager can come into hiccups, right? People make mistakes and shit happens, as I said. But when you look at the game, I completely forgot what I was going to say now.
Season pass.
Season pass. I have to cull this out.
That's what you get when you don't have a script, AShinyRay.
Exactly. Why have I fucking gone off on this tangent? This is a classic. Sorry, I remember what I was going to say now. So you set this deadline. So live services games as a whole love a season. It's Fortnite, it's COD, it's Rainbow Six, it was Gears of War, and that was playing. It's Apex Legends, it's League of Legends, it's any live service game, and they have the season pass. And in the corner, you have 14 weeks left of this season. Great. We know how long this update is. All of a sudden, halfway through the season, it says, oh, now there's, before this week, it was going to be 8 weeks left, but now it's 12 weeks. Right. And you have made this expectation. You have, as a team, you sat down and said, we're going to release updates every 3 months, every 4 months, and now it's every, 2 years or whatever. Sorry, every 6 months on average.
Yeah.
And then that gives players, regardless of you've never announced a release date for your next update, that in the corner sets an expectation to your players and saying you are to expect this next big update in X amount of weeks. And regardless or not if that next big update's been announced or you said it's coming out then, changing that countdown breaks that expectation. And that is a delay if you ask anyone, as someone who's a content creator, as a customer who's a core player. So now what you have is that player base is pissed off because there's a delay. No one likes waiting, even though that is a fact of life. We spend half our lives waiting on everything.
True love.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Now you've set yourself this deadline. You've broken this deadline. Player base gets pissed off. And then, this arbitrary thing has been set by yourself, right? And as the updates aren't as big, you've now said, oh, it's taking us longer to make updates, but they're not as big as they were in the first year. I know they crunched for that. That's different. Monthly, let's take 3 monthly updates, for example. 3 monthly updates is probably bigger than one season. Probably by about double.
At the moment it is. Yeah.
Definitely,
true.
yeah. I think not all seasons are created equally. Because this thing has been set by yourself, players expect more of you because there's longer waiting, and that's just not happening. So with these whole season passes, season stuff, where everyone's competing for a live service, everyone's fighting for someone's attention, and when that new update is not coming out in the times as expected, people get annoyed, they get bored. Let's just get rid of seasons as a concept. Have your season pass, and that be a separate track with a plunder pass. And I know it's all this marketing shit where, oh, we've got this new season pass and plunder pass. It's a new season, so come and buy this, and it works. But it's not working when you're only releasing 2 season passes a year, when you could have had 4 plunder passes sold, when that's completely separate from your updates.
Yeah.
And it breaks up the content from the cosmetics. So you halfway through your season of your update, oh, there's a new season pass anyway, there's something for me to work towards. I can buy stuff from the Emporium anyway, because I want the new plunder pass.
Yeah. So you're saying have those season passes like every 2 or 3 months and have them separate from the seasons. So it always goes.
Have them quarterly. So 14 weeks. They come back anyway, so who cares? They just get put in the shop several months or years later. 4 season passes a year, completely uncoupled from seasons. Get rid of season names. They're boring. They're not seasonal. And they just fade into the background of every other thing. I know marketing and data says, oh, people play a game because of seasons. But what sounds better to you? This year we could have had Legend of Monkey Island. We could have had Guilds of Gold. And we could have had, what was the first one? Chests of Fortune. You've got 4 season passes there, regardless of what our core content is happening. You've sold 4. So in this case, you would have sold twice as many plunder passes. Probably not, depending on how psychology works. But Now there's no expectation for you to get out a season in 3 months or 4 months or 7 months, because you've not set that deadline of saying, this is a season, it's 4 times a year. So just get rid of them.
Yeah. Makes it easier to talk about it as well.
Yeah, it's easier to talk about. Players don't have expectations that are being told to them and not met. Your dev team doesn't have any pressure because you've not said when it's coming out. It could be 6 months. You never promised it was going to last a season. So just get rid of them. People would be half as pissed off if that happened this year, because we wouldn't have a 7-month season. We'd just be 7 months between an update.
Yeah.
Because there is still small bits of content dribbled through and Monkey Island, so it's all a psychological thing and how people perceive these live service games.
All right.
Sorry to go on a rant there, but I think it makes a lot of sense.
I hope Toby is really happy with this expanded answer.
This is for you, Toby. Hope you're happy.
All right. So yes, thanks for that question, Toby. We're going to the last one. Last question comes from Spaniard. Doesn't have to do with these tall tales, but he posted it, so we're gonna do it. He says, now that mask cosmetics are a thing in Sea of Thieves, what kind of masks do you want to see added to the game most? Why is it the Reaper mask?
The Reaper mask is one. Veil of the Ancients would be cool for an Athena reward.
Oh yeah. Yeah, separate from the costume, right?
Yes, Dark Brethren mask would be awesome.
The porcelain one, right?
The porcelain one, so Wanders and what's her face? Amaranta. Those would be really cool.
So surprised they weren't rewards, but oh well.
Yeah, I know. Strange. Sort of masquerade masks, bandanas, blindfolds. You could really go
blindfolds.
Yeah, there's a blindfolded skull, isn't there? So
and Blind Bob, he has a blindfold too, right? Yeah.
So
I want that.
Sky's the limit for this sort of thing. You can have glasses, sunglasses.
Sunglasses.
Well, you could make them stylized, couldn't you? They could be like sort of round specs. They're tinted, and they look really old, like spectacles. I know Pengu really wants specs. What else did I just think of? I can't think of now. But there's a lot of potential with this one. Even Halloween masks, like Festival of the Damned masks, would be really cool as sort of rewards for Halloween content. The priest masks as well, from the Tall Tale, from Veil of the Ancients.
Yeah.
Legend of the Veil, sorry, that's what it is. So the sky's the limit with these.
Yeah, I think you all mentioned the ones I wanted to mention too. But being me, I'll add one more, since I also always want legacy content. I was thinking about those Vivan Piata tribal masks the ruffians use. Like you can make a mask of that and have it a legacy content cosmetic.
Pirate Emporium stuff.
Of course, Pirate Emporium stuff. Yeah. So so a handful of ideas. I hope you're happy with that, Spaniard.
Oh, and you've got Servant's mask, Voice of the Flames mask. You've got Humorous's mask.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He keeps going.
Keeps going, yeah. I'm here all week.
All right, but that's good. Now that they're here, I hope they'll add them. I hope it keeps continuing, right? Because we used to have like scars, and we're not really getting new scars all that often. And I just hope that with this new tab, we will get regular mask cosmetics added. But time will tell. But yeah, thanks for that question, Spaniard. So those are the messages. Remember that if you want to post your own, you should join the Salty Hippo Discord. Link to that will be in the YouTube description. So we've also come to the end of the podcast, and I want to thank AShinyRay for being an amazing co-host. And I also want to thank you, the listener, for listening to us. Just like always, if you did make it to the end, know that you are a better person compared to everyone else. So thanks again and take care.
Take care, guys. Bye.